Hi everyone and welcome back to Zombies. In this video we'll go through all the steps of completing the main quest on Citadel the Morts and easily kill the final boss. First things first though, let's talk about your loadout. Your primary weapon almost doesn't matter. Any assault rifle or SMG would do here, whatever you are comfortable with. I do however advise against GS45 or other explosive weapons in your base loadout. If you really want them, you can get them on the map, but you'll make your life significantly harder than it needs to be if you bring those from the start. Your melee weapon does mean a lot though. The best choice by far is a power drill. If you don't have it unlocked, a knife is a viable option too. It does the same amount of damage per hit but hits much slower, so if you can, take the drill. For the field upgrade, Ether Shroud is a top choice. I'll explain the strategy without it too when we get to the boss, but having it on makes the whole task much easier. It really should be the number one choice for your prestige unlocks too. Your tactical doesn't matter much. You can go with whatever you prefer. Shock sticks can be useful at one point, but it can also be substituted easily on the map. For lethal, definitely take Molotovs. They are essential for the main quest, and if you can't equip one, you'll have to find some on the map, which can be a bit of a pain. Again, if you are a low level and have some unused prestige unlocks, Molotov is a really good choice for that. For Gobblegums, I highly recommend bringing in Shields Up, Power Keg and Stock option in your pack. These are your safety tools for the boss fight. The remaining two are up to you. Apart from the loadout itself, there's quite a few augments that are important. Neither is a complete deal breaker, but each contributes to overall success. For Speedcaller perk, you want to have Supercharged equipped to reduce the time to charge your Ether Shroud. For Vulture 8, it may make sense to choose Picky Eater, especially if you can't equip or craft Molotovs yet. For Ether Shroud, you really want to have Extension on, since it improves the duration by a lot. Void Sheath is optional, but can be quite useful too. And you also really want Expressor for your melee macchiato to increase the speed of melee attacks. Now, let's go. The very early rounds on the map are pretty straightforward. Off the spawn, run a bit forward to the cheese shop, break the window and grab a wheel of cheese. It's not a part of a main quest, but it's a little extra to make your life easier in the opening part. In the tavern, hit balls on the pool table upstairs to get extra 100 essence and start taking out those initial zombies. Take your time to aim for their heads, as this early extra cash comes in very handy. And leave one zombie around for now. Keeping the rounds low as you go through the main quest steps is a good idea, as it makes each of the steps much easier. Head over to the western gate of the town square. Just by it on the right side, if you go prone, you can see a little rat under some plants. Looking at it for a few seconds makes it run away. Open the gate, pick off a zombie that's stuck under the haystack if he's there, and head up the road to a barn. Pick up the loose change from Deadshot Daiquiri machine and go inside. You'll see a horseshoe above the other entrance inside. Shoot it and pick it up once it drops. This is the first of the ritual items we need. Now walk outside and pick up the lightning rod to the left of the Deadshot machine. Now you'll need a bit of cash, so carry on to proceed into the next round. Sticking to low rounds here helps a lot, but don't sweat it if you flip rounds accidentally every now and then. I'm just showing the easiest way. It's not the only way though, so feel free to try things and be creative. While my character on your screen is making his way into the castle, let me briefly explain on what it is we'll be doing during the run. The main quest consists of three major parts: magical swords and their upgrades, incantations, which is just a fancy word for a magic spell, and their related ritual items, and the Guardian key sequence. All three parts are interconnected and each has multiple steps to it, so we'll be doing multiple things in parallel, and I'll explain each of the steps and why we're doing them in this particular order. It's important to know though that most things can be done in any order, so you can deviate from my path in almost everything while still following the general principle, and it will still be easy. One last critical thing before we get back to in-game events. Save and quit feature can be very useful, but on this map it can also be extremely dangerous and frustrating. At least as of now, when you save and quit the game, it resets any of the unfinished steps, so when you load back in, you have to repeat parts of the Easter egg and also figure out which ones you need to repeat. I would highly recommend to do all of the main quest steps in one sitting, and only save and quit if you must, at the very end, just before the boss fight. Alright, let's get back to the run. As you progress through the mission markers, keep your pace slow and rounds low, it will definitely help going forward. Avoid any nukes that can spawn, unless you have the last zombie and don't have enough cash to open the next door. And if you get double points power up, try to keep it on the ground until the next round starts to maximize the output. In terms of the doors order, I recommend choosing the path to your right, as it makes the navigation a bit easier and saves you some extra cash on unlocking the doors you don't need to unlock. Keep your eyes open for any magical chests around the castle. Those are random and when shot release either a parasite or 150 salvage, both are very useful. Also, make sure to pick up any molotovs that may drop from zombies, especially if you can't craft them yourself. Eventually, you'll make your way to the room with a metal container in it, with the mission prompting you to break the locks. Before you do it though, run up to the northern end of the room, and on the right side you'll see a plate with a few reds around it. Interact with the plate to place your cheese wheel on it, and it will drop a bunch of rewards for you. In this run, I didn't get really good rewards, but most often you get either a blue tool or a pop crystal out of them, both being very handy. Pick up the rewards that you like and proceed to break the locks, which will release a doppelgast at you. Critical shots against him do absolute wonders, so try to hit either of his heads. Once the monster is dead, he'll explode, leaving the blood Ethereum crystal behind. Pick it up and slot it into the container to reveal a Pack-a-Punch machine. Again, try to not flip the round just yet. Ideally, you want to be between rounds 4 and 6 at this point. Now go back to the room you came from, which is called Dungeons, but we'll refer to it as Quick Revive Room for the perk machine it houses. Behind the perk machine is a small corridor with a locked door. Interact with it to open a window and reveal an old man named Krafft inside. You can stay around and listen to him, but I find it best to carry on about my business because there's quite a bit to do. Interacting with Krafft launches the main quest and enables all the related steps as well as most of the Easter eggs on the map. One of those things is a hidden passage to the alchemical lab from the dining hall, which is where we'll be going now. In the lab you'll see a number of cabinets filled with books, vases and other stuff. Look through them until you see an item on a round base. It can be a fossil or a bone and can spawn at any of the cabinets or on the table in the room. Have a good look at it and pick it up. We'll need this item to upgrade one of the swords later. Now head back to the dining hall. It's where the Vulture 8 perk machine and statues of knights are. Above the perk machine, you'll notice a red crystal with a mirror behind it. Stand directly in front of it and shoot the mirror until the beam it emits becomes bright and solid. If you have difficulty doing it from this location, go up the balcony on your right and do it from there. The heat registration can be a bit spotty here, but you'll get it. The solid beam will point at another mirror with the crystal, so proceed shooting that one. Keep repeating the process. Point the beam into the alchemical lab until eventually it points to a statue on the table. Walk up to where it points to reveal the Paladin's Brooch that you can now pick up. That's the second of ritual items you need to unlock incantations. Now go to the sitting rooms through the west wall opening. There are 4 pages in this room, but you don't actually want to pick them up. I mean you can, but it's much easier if you don't. Each of the pages contains a symbol matching one of the places of power traps, and they each spawn in specific general area in a specific order. The first one is always in southeast corner of this area, either on a set of wooden crates or on a wall around them. The second page is always in the southeast corner, either on the table to the left or on bunk beds on the right. The next one is in the central area where the sofa is. The page can be on the sofa itself, on a TV in front of it, or on the two TVs in the left corner. The last page is always along the northmost wall, but the last doesn't really matter since the last trap is always in this exact room. The order of these symbols is important as you'll have to activate the traps in this exact order and you don't really want to make a mistake, as each activation costs you 1600 points. Now go back to the Pack-a-Punch room and along the way make note of symbols on the traps in the rooms you pass. It may be a bit confusing at first, so what you want to pay attention to is the bright lines on the trap. A simple rule to remember: if the circle surrounding the trap is lit, then none of the spikes should be lit, only the eye inside. If the both circle and any of the spikes are lit, then it's not the trap you need. Ignore it. Just walk around the traps keeping the symbol you had on the first page in mind and you'll quickly see the difference. In the Pack-a-Punch room, go to the southern wall and initiate a cave slide fast travel, which will cost you 500 points. As you slide down the cave, you'll pass a light on the right wall. From here you can see the end of the slide and on the right side from it is a raven sitting. You need to shoot the raven to scare it off. Once you finish the slide, follow the raven and shoot him again. He'll go off in a puff of purple smoke and drop the raven's talon on the floor. This is the third ritual item we'll need for the incantation. If you miss the raven during the slide, don't worry. Not only you can repeat this at any time, you can also throw an explosive or a concussion grenade from the landing side of the slide, and that will scare the raven well enough. If you still have over 1250 points left, go back to the castle, walk up to the cannon that you used to open the castle doors and interact with it to launch yourself back to the spawn. As you fly, a lightning bolt will strike you, knocking out the horseshoe you picked up in the beginning. The horseshoe can land on either side of the spawn area, either by the barn with Deadshot Gaikiri or in the village ascent. You can see the location by looking up at the skies and locating a small storm cloud appearing. Approaching the horseshoe will spawn a few zombies that you can safely kill. Then pick up the upgraded ritual item. With the horseshoe, go back to the spawn area and to the left of the western gate you'll see a circle of light appearing. Interact with it to place your horseshoe, which will cause a whole bunch of zombies to spawn. You can start killing them right away, but I find it better to run around for a bit, getting myself a nice train of zombies, and then unloading at them en masse. You'll need about 20 kills to fill up the soul box, and once that's done, all zombies in the area will die, and the closed chest with electric incantation will pop up where you placed your ritual item. This will end your round if you only had a handful of zombies following you. When done in a team, you can avoid flipping the round by having a teammate lead your last round zombie away from the area. Killing all the zombies in the ritual should give you well over 1600 points you need to activate the first trap, so go ahead and find the trap with a symbol matching the first page you found in the sitting room. The locations for traps to check are both sides of the spawn, the nature path and the village ascent, the courtyard in front of the castle, the quick revive room and a Pack-a-Punch room. The last one is in the sitting room, but that will always be the fourth trap you need, so no point checking there now. Once you located the trap you need, wait for the zombies to spawn around and activate it. You now need to get some kills while you are inside the trap. Zombies can be anywhere, but you should be inside the red circle. While you're there, your weapon doesn't use any ammo and doesn't need a reload, so feel free to spray non-stop. Once you've got the required number of kills, the trap will deactivate pretty abruptly. If you don't get enough kills though, the trap will kind of fade away, and that normally means you'll have to repeat it once again, which is quite costly. So you only want to activate the trap when there's enough zombies around. 10 is a good reference number to keep in your head, but in general it's best to be done at the round start. In the early rounds, you usually only have enough zombies for just one trap activation. Once the trap is done, clear the rest of the crowd, leaving yourself one or two final zombies, and go to the sitting room. In there, approach the locked door on the western side and unlock it. This will take you to Undercroft or Crypt. Check the area for any magic chests and shoot the bonus points power up behind the sofa on the eastern wall. Now walk back to the western wall where you came from, and to the left of the door you'll see a familiar circle of light appearing. Interact with it to place the Raven's Talon, and zombies will start falling out of the shadow rifts, filling up the room. As before, build yourself a nice train and then mow them down. Once you have enough kills, the Dark Incantation chest will spawn, your round will flip, and you'll have enough cash for your next trap activation. Since you're now increasing your rounds quite a bit, it makes sense to upgrade your weapon to at least green rarity if you didn't get the tool upgrade from the Red's Easter egg earlier. If you hit a special round, don't do the trap steps, as there's not enough parasites and vermin to complete the task usually. Instead, just finish the special round, get your max ammo power up, and go to the next trap location. Wait for the zombies to group up, activate the trap, and get enough kills like before. Check whether you have enough money and zombies left, and if positive, do another trap as well. Otherwise, leave that for the beginning of the next round. Once you have 3 traps done, make sure you've got 1600 points and enough zombies, and make your way to the sitting room to activate the last trap. Completing it spawns a red particle that flies from the trap towards a wall on the way down to the crypt. Clear the zombies until you only have 1 or 2 left and walk down to the wall where the particle landed. It will now have 4 pictures with Roman numerals next to them. This is the order in which you need to perform rituals with each of the swords. However, you don't really have to stick to this order to unlock each sword, and there's actually a very good reason to unlock the light sword first in any case, but you'll have to perform the ritual in this order later on. You can't really proceed with getting the swords until round 10, at least not without some glitches, but we still have 2 incantations to complete. Hopefully you found some Molotovs by this time. You'll need 3 in total, so assuming you got the Molotovs you need, go to the western side of the castle wall and look back at the battlements, and you'll see a pyre ready to be lit up. With this one you want to aim directly at its top and throw your Molotov. The next pyre is in the middle, so run up to the cannon and aim just over halfway between the pyre and round window. As the pyre is lit up, they will spawn zombies, so feel free to clear some to give you some breathing space. The last pyre is on the eastern side, outside the wall. You can unlock the battlements there for 1000 points, though it's really not necessary. You can just throw your Molotov over this wall. Aim higher than the pyre itself. Aiming directly at it will result in a miss. Lighting the last one will spawn more zombies, and after a bit, a doppelgast. Kill the doppelgast and he'll drop the last ritual item you need. The circle for this ritual item spawns in the same area in the courtyard. Thin down your zombies herd so only a few are left. Spend some of your money on getting essential perks like Juggernog, then interact with the circle in the courtyard to start the ritual. The spawning of zombies in this one is pretty slow, so it will probably take some time for you to build up the train, so it's up to you whether you want to kill the Zeds as they pop up or altogether. Either way, complete the ritual to spawn your third incantation chest. By now you should be at round 10 or even later. Round 10 is when you'll see a special kind of zombies appearing, the one that has a knight helmet on its head and is immune to headshots. Upon death, such zombie drops a stamp that can be used to unlock a sword. Pick up the stamp, kill most of the zombies until only few are left, and go back to the dining hall. You can now choose which sword to unlock first. You can either follow the order that you revealed earlier, but I generally recommend getting the light sword first anyway. The reason for it is simple. When fully upgraded and charged, this sword replenishes your armor on each kill, which is tremendously useful and convenient. So walk up to the knight you choose. For the light sword, this is the one with a lion on its chest. Interact with it and pick up the sword. This will spawn 4 glowing parasites for you. Don't kill them just yet. Instead, go to the village ascent around the area with the speed caller perk machine. Now use your sword to kill one of the parasites. The sword will start glowing once you do that. Run into the underpass on the eastmost side of the area to find a door with a lion-shaped seal on it. Hit the door with your sword and a symbol will appear on it. Repeat the process 3 more times, once for each of the parasites. It's important that you kill them one by one. Also, if you switch your weapon while your sword is glowing, the glow will disappear and you'll have to progress around to spawn more parasites. Sometimes the game glitches out and only 3 parasites spawn glowing. In that case, do the 3 and progress around, which will spawn an additional flyer for you. Once you got the 4 symbols glowing on the door, you can interact with it to enter a secret room. Inside the room, you'll find a pillar with the same 4 symbols on it in a specific order. Circle with a dot inside, a snowflake, an arrow and a circle split in half. Interact with the pillar to slot your sword in and release those symbols. You now have a minute to shoot those symbols in the same order they appear on the pillar. After you shoot one, wait for it to land on the pillar before shooting the next one or you'll break the sequence. As you go through it, zombies will start spawning in the room, and the longer you take to complete the task, the more zombies there'll be, so be fast but precise. Completing all 4 symbols makes the sword glow, and you can now pick up your Solaire wonder weapon. If you fail to complete the task in time, don't worry, you can return to the door next round and will be able to interact with it again for another try. In their upgraded state, swords are awesome. They are one-hit kill on any regular zombie and they have very decent range for a melee weapon, allowing you to stay outside of the zombie's attack reach. If you have money for it, grab a melee macchiato as well to make your sword even more powerful, both in terms of damage and in attack speed. I also recommend getting a quick revive butt now, so you recover from any hits faster. Now we can go ahead and get our last incantation ritual done. Interact with a light circle in the dining area to place the Paladin's Brooch, and zombies will start filling the area. The reason I recommend doing this incantation last is that there's a lot of things to get stuck on in this room, so building a train and shooting the zombies can be a bit challenging. Having a sword though solves the problem for the most part, as you can just run around and whack them as you pass them. Another great feature with the sword is that you don't even have to mash your attack button all the time. You can simply hold it pressed and it will keep swinging the sword for you. And the alternative attack button is used for block, which stops any damage from the blocked attack, including projectiles from parasites and attacks of special and elite zombies. In other words, swords are absolutely OP here. Complete the ritual to spawn the incantation chest. Since you're wielding the light sword, you can hit the chest with it to reveal the incantation scroll. Grab it to replace your tactical with a magical spell. If you had Lion as your first picture on the wall, walk up to the Lion Knight and use your incantation on him. Follow this with inspecting your sword in front of him. On consoles, this is done by quickly tapping left on the D-pad twice. On keyboard, this is done with the I button. Walk away and the knight will start moving his hands and then light up, indicating a successful completion of the sequence. The next 3 rounds will be more of the same. Once the round starts, use your sword to mow down the crowd until only just a few left. Pick up the next stamp from the Knight Zombie and use it to unlock whatever is the next sword in the order painted on the wall. Then do the sword upgrade. In my case, the next is the Dark Sword, so we'll do that. Walk up to the knight with a raven on his shoulder and interact with him. Then grab the bastard sword he offers. Don't worry about leaving your current sword on the ground, it will teleport to its respective knight in just a few seconds. Now run to the tavern basement next to the spawn area. In the tavern basement, walk up to the wheel on the southern wall and interact with it to place your object. Remember the Antiquity item you picked up from the alchemy lab in the beginning? This item represents one of the zodiac signs. In theory, this means there may be 12 different items, but in practice I've only seen 5 so far in all of my runs, and they are the following. The lower jaw with sharp teeth for the lion or Leo, 2 raven heads for twins or Gemini, a twisted horn for Rem or Aries, a fossilized fish for fishes, and a fossilized scorpion for Scorpio, which is what I have now. Each of the zodiac signs has its symbol and its element affinity, which is exactly what's needed to solve the Raven riddle. A rare case of astrology knowledge being actually useful for something. In the center, you'll see your item. Then the inner circle allows you to choose the elemental affinity and the outer circle to select the sign matching the item you placed. You'll need to line up the element and the sign with a green arrow at the bottom of the wheel. Once you aligned everything correctly, a void pit opens up on the floor. Don't worry, you can walk over it safely. Shortly after, the wheel starts releasing energy orbs that fly your way. You need to lead these orbs into the void pit. Annoyingly, the orbs move very slowly, much slower than zombies that you train around them. Also, if an orb hits you, it explodes, causing you some damage. Once 3 orbs sink into the void, the pit relocates to the ground floor and you need to repeat the process again. Three more and the pit moves upstairs for the last set of 3. Once everything is done, wait for the pit particle to return back to the zodiac wheel and interact with it to get your Balmung or Shadow Sword. Head down into the crypt, hit the chest with your sword and pick up the incantation. Run up to the Raven Knight, use your incantation and inspect the sword. I usually grab my light sword afterwards, but it's really up to you and your preference. Now progress the round. If you get a special round, the Knight Zombie will still spawn, so clear out all the vermin and leave one of the parasites. Grab the stamp and unlock the next sword, in my case the dragon one. With the dragon sword, return to the entrance hall and interact with the dragon statue up the stairs. This will light up 3 braziers on the map. The first one is really close by on the castle wall. Run up to it and interact to pick up the dragon fire. This will grant you a serious speed boost, but will keep damaging you as long as you hold the fire. And zombies will start spawning around the map. The good news is a melee attack on any zombie kills them instantly and replenishes all of your health. Bring the fire back to the dragon, interact with him to release the fire. The second brazier is in the spawn area, right next to the rampage inducer. Pick it up and run back, hitting some zombies in the process. Having a Juggernaut perk with extra 50 health actually allows you to complete the full trip even without killing any zombies, but only just, so it's much safer to just keep healing yourself by killing zombies along the way. The last brazier is at the very start of the nature path, right after the gates from the spawn. Repeat the process the last time and pick up the Caliburn Wonder Weapon. Clear the zombies that spawned for you and head back to the courtyard to unlock and pick up the incantation. Complete the ritual with using the incantation on the Dragon Knight and inspecting your sword. For the last electric sword, we'll need some dead wire ammo, so go ahead and put it on your gun. It can also be substituted with a shock stick if you prefer though. Go back to the village ascent where the speed caller is. One of the houses on the eastern side has a big antenna on it. Track this antenna down to find an electric box. Shoot the box or hit it with a shock stick and the second lightning rod falls down. Now progress the round as we still need one last stamp. As before, grind the round down to the last zombie, pick up the stamp and unlock the sword on the knight with a stag on his chest. With the sword, go down to the dungeon where the quick revive perk is. Having the stag sword on you makes a special armored zombie spawn in that room. He spawns regardless of how many zombies you have left and even during the special round, so don't worry, he'll always be there as long as you have a correct sword on you. You can identify him pretty easily as there's a lightning rod stuck in his chest. Kill him and pick up the rod from the ground. Now go to the western part of the castle wall, past the elemental pop machine. You'll see a metal urn there. Interact with it to place all 3 rods and then again to call in electric storm. Your goal now is to stay in the area until your sword charges. Try not to kill your last round zombie. The whole thing is much easier if you are not swarmed out from all sides. After a bit of time, your sword picks up the charge and starts sparking with electricity. Run up to the urn and hit it with your sword to release the charge. If you hold the charge for too long, it will discharge on you instead, hurting and stunning you pretty badly. You'll need to repeat the process 3 times until the urn is fully charged. You don't have to kill any zombies really, you just have to stay in the area, but trimming the crowd helps quite a bit. Interact with the fully charged urn to slot your sword in, then once again to pick up your Durantel Wonder Weapon. Now head back to the spawn area, hit the incantation chest with your sword and pick up the spell scroll. The electric incantation is my favorite of the 4 by far, but again, this is the matter of personal preference. Now get back to the knight, use the incantation and inspect your sword to complete the ritual. If you've done everything right, all 4 knights will have a glow on them, which will get replaced by 4 beams of light converging on a mystic orb in the center. Sometimes the orb glitches out and stays high up in the air, refusing to go down. In that case, you can still pick it up by going up the balcony on the eastern side and sprint jumping towards it to pluck it out of the air. Don't just quit if that happens to you, since that will likely reset a lot of the progress you've made. If you don't see all the knights glowing and spawning an orb for you, check back the order on the wall on the way to Crypt and perform Incantation Sword Inspect for any of the missing knights. There is no punishment for doing it out of order, so you have any number of tries you need. Once you have the orb, you now need to charge it with the power of each of the incantations. These can be done in any order. I prefer to do the electric one for no apparent reason, and I do tend to leave the light one until I have full armor and some spare plates, but that is up to you. For this part, you don't even have to wield the matching sword, just incantations are enough. So, go back to the area where you performed incantation ritual and find the orb slot nearby. For electric, it's immediately on the left side of the western gate in the spawn area. Interact with the slot to put the orb in, then interact again to start the elemental challenge. As you may guess, this will start spawning zombies all around you. The idea is that you need to have about 20 or so kills with the respective element. You can use the matching sword's fully charged special attack for this, but really, incantations alone are more than enough for this. Just let some enemies spawn, train them up in a nice line, then use your incantation to kill a whole bunch at once. You can always pick up more spell scrolls from the chest right at the location, and they respawn after about a minute. Once you've achieved the required number of kills, the orb will emit red shockwave, and an element spark will start orbiting it. Pick up the orb and move to the next location. At this point I usually thin out the herd with my light sword to get it fully charged and make it replenish the armor, and I buy myself a 3-plate too. Then back to the dining hall and up the stairs to the wall opposite from the Vulture 8 perk. Put the orb in its slot and start the elemental challenge. The light challenge is the only one that doesn't require you to kill anything. Instead, green spheres of light will start popping up around the room. Every time you run through a sphere, it releases a particle of light that travels into the orb, charging it. You only need to run through 10 of those, but they do despawn reasonably quickly, and zombies tend to block you in them as well. So it's not as easy as it seems. Having a sword and being able to replenish your armor as you go helps a lot though. Once fully charged, grab the fire incantation and go to the courtyard. The orb slot is on the left side of the stairs if looking directly at the castle. Put the orb in and start the challenge. As before, build a nice train of zombies and burn them with your fire incantation until the orb is charged. The last stop is in the crypt with the dark incantation. I find this one a bit harder since the incantation only tends to get a few zombies at a time, but the principle is the same. Train them up and hit them with your spell. I find it works best if you run up into the faces before releasing the incantation. Pick up the fully charged orb and head over to the wall where each of the sword symbols is. Put the orb into the slot in the middle and wait for a few seconds for the wall to open up. Walk into the tomb that opens and interact with an object on it to start the ancient recording. Interact with it again to pick up the Guardian key. Now you have completed all the steps of the main quest. Wait for the voice lines to play out completely, including a message from Sam, which will take a little while. Then progress the round. Once new zombies start spawning, you've reached a stage where it should be safe to save and quit if you have to. I say should be because giving any assurances against bugs in Call of Duty might be a bit too optimistic, but this is as safe as it gets. If you do save and quit, once you load back in, your progress will be saved, but you'll need to go back to the Owl's Tomb, activate the recording and pick up the Guardian key again. With the main quest finished, it's time to set up for the boss fight. You're probably somewhere between rounds 15 and 20 now, and in order to have the fight as easy as possible, you want to go to the boss fight before round 29, since afterwards the regular zombies will be a bit more of a trouble than you want them to be. Get all of the perks you need, preferably just all of them. Get 3-plate armor, craft a self-revive if you used one before, craft a mutant injection or pick one up from any of the special zombies. All of that comes handy. Then leave your sword at the night and upgrade your power drill or knife to epic rarity and pop 2. You can have it higher, but I tested it multiple times and the damage to the boss stays exactly the same, so epic pop 2 is enough. Upgrade your main gun to at least epic and ideally pop 3. I didn't do this in this run, and you'll see in a bit that it could be quite useful. Pull the gobble gums you need. The ideal set in my opinion is shields up, stock option, power keg. If you feel like you need a PhD flopper perk, there is an easy way to get it for free if you don't want to wait for round 25 and buy it from the Wonder Fees. First, buy all 8 perks available on the map if you don't have them all yet. Now head down to the crypt and smash the loose bricks on the southern wall. If you saved and quit before, it will already be open and all symbols on it will be dim, which is perfect. If you did not, head back to the tavern and look for 6 bottles with Roman numbers on them. Interact with each one and write down the symbols they show and their order. Head back to the crypt and shoot the symbols in sequence.
Excellent.
Once the wall settles and unlocks the book next to it, the symbols will dim. Now use each of the 4 incantations on this wall one by one. Each use will light up one row of symbols. As soon as you hit it with your 4th incantation, the lockdown starts and you need to survive 3 waves of zombies. Those will be common unarmored zombies, so it shouldn't be much of a challenge. Once you beat the lockdown, a random perk spawns in the room, and since you are only missing the PhD flopper, that's the one you get. There is a dedicated PhD flopper easter egg on the map, but this way feels better to me since not only you get extra cash from all the zombies you kill, but the random perk affects the whole team. So if you're playing in a squad, this way you get free PhD flopper for everyone at once, rather than just one person. Once you feel like you're ready, head over to the spawn area, walk in front of the statue at the center and interact with it to place the key down. Once you teleport into the arena, wait for the boss to roar and use your Ether Shroud. Then run up to the boss and start smashing him with your power drill. Each hit of your power drill does over 17k damage to the boss, and with extension augment on your Ether Shroud, you'll beat the first phase even before your cloaking expires. The boss will become immune to your hits and will start spawning zombies around it. Now, there's currently a very nasty bug that sometimes prevents you from filling up your field upgrade once it's been used. To battle this, pause the game, select Change Field Upgrade, change it to anything else and then right back to Ether Shroud. Then start killing zombies to recharge your Ether Shroud. Incantations work perfectly here, especially since they one-shot any doppelgasts that spawn. I wish I had my main gun upgraded though, especially since I actually had money for it. That would make things quite a bit faster as well. But even without using your gun, between the drill and incantations you can get your shroud back really fast. And if you're getting a bit nervous, use the stock option to speed the process up.
I ain't dying in a shell run.
Once the boss wakes up and has a health bar over him, shroud in and start hitting him again. Even if you don't get him all the way through the phase 2 before Shroud expires, he'll be just a few hits off it. Also, use your shields up here for some protection. If you feel in danger, use your mutant injection and start spamming your Mangler cannon into the boss. Each hit of it also does 17k damage and you shouldn't need more than 2 or 3 hits to get through the phase 2. Once you are between the phases again, repeat the process to regain your shroud. There'll be at least one amalgam spawning now, so make sure to kill it quickly with your incantation. The second intermission is a good time to use your power keg gobblegum if you want to be sure to get your field upgrade in time, since zombies are quite a bit tougher this time around. Once the boss wakes up, again shroud in and unload with your power drill and he'll be finished. If you don't have the power drill, you can still use the knife, but since it's a bit slower, you'll have to rely on your main gun in between to deliver those final bits of damage, which is way more risky. You can also beat the boss without the Ether Shroud by using swords instead of your dedicated melee. The block feature of your sword actually negates all damage from the boss's stomp attack, and if you stick close to him, he'll constantly be trying to stomp you without spitting the fire. Melee Macchiato with Espresso Augment is essential to make it work, as otherwise the delay from block into attack becomes too long. But with it, you can block attack repeatedly until the boss is dead. But this strat is much riskier since you need to time your blocks well and you'll constantly have to use incantations to clear zombies trying to attack you from behind. So Ether Shroud with Power Drill is your safest way to easily kill the boss. Once the boss is dead, the magic amulet will appear on the arena. In some cases this glitches out as well, and then amulet never spawns. If that happens, just wait for the game to time you out. It will still show you the cinematic and will unlock the calling card and all rewards, but it won't give you an option to continue the game or exit and will not count as a successful exfil. Picking up the amulet launches the cinematic and means you successfully beat the Citadel de Mort map. Congratulations, I hope my guide was helpful. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.